Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the Real Talk Show, a show brought to your screens every Friday at 14 hours. This show is brought to you by the TYP or the Youth Platform. My name is Margaret Selemani and welcome to our discussion of today. And we have so much to share with you. I have seen a number of you are very excited about today's show. But anyways, I know that you saw a number of people on our poster and you just can't wait to hear from them. Hey, I can't wait to hear from them too. Anyways, I don't want to say much before we just begin. Brian, how you doing?
I'm good, Margaret. How are you doing? And it's good to be here. And today, just as you mentioned, we're talking about a topic that a lot of us are eager to hear from and just know what is happening around today's topic. And I'll let you, Margaret, introduce today's topic because that is your area, not so.
I mean, it's just a pity that I'm not wearing pink because you are it's like you're wearing the color that I was supposed to wear. But anyways, today's discussion is just focusing on the highlights of the Her Voice Fund. I know a number of you have been commenting on our pages and just be like, we can't wait to hear from this. We can't wait to hear from this girl child. You are. This is a show that just empowers a young girl, that mentors a young girl, that gives leadership skills and advocacy skills to a young person, to a young girl or a young woman. Brian, how do you feel about this? I know you are here and I can see you're putting on a pink shirt there, but how do you feel about this show today?
Great, Margaret. I think looking at today's topic, we're talking about a voice, which is a platform that a lot of young girls, adolescents, young girls and women have benefited from, talking about advocating for their sexual reproductive health rights, talking about access to actual sexual reproductive health services. And I think talking about this today is very exciting. And I think our viewers also are ready to learn what is happening around their voice projects. Thank you so much, Margaret.
Sure. Just as you heard from Brian, and just from the introduction itself and the topic that we're discussing today, we are talking about a girl child. And as you can see, a majority of the panelists today are women. And this is why we're talking about it. And we just want to hear from them because these are the people that have been doing so many incredible things in their spaces. So I'm just going to give our guests an opportunity to just introduce themselves and just tell us the name, where they're coming from. I know the poster is saying so much, like we are intimidated by the poster, but hey, we want to hear from you. Don't be intimidated by the poster. Let us just hear what these people have to say. So I'm going to give an opportunity to each one of you to just introduce yourself. Tell us where you're coming from, what you're doing, your position, and your organization. So I was about to say ladies or gents first, but we are all ladies in here. So I will first go with Namiaba. Namiaba can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Margaret, and welcome to our viewers. My name is Namia Himamba. I work at the youth platform as a project officer. A project officer under the same project we're with here, which is Winning with Women and Girls. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Namiaba. I will move to Natasha. Natasha can go ahead and tell us where you're coming from.
Thank you so much, Margaret and Brian. Thank you so much once again for the invitation. Good afternoon to everyone that has joined us today. My name is Natasha Sekata. I am the Her Voice Fund ambassador. Pretty much, I am a sexual and reproductive health rights advocate and youth champion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Natasha. And we will go to Gwen.
Thank Gwen Chanda. I work for Youth Hope Network Zambia. I am the programs manager for Youth Hope Network Zambia. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen. Thank you so much. And we'll go to Gwen. Oh, sorry. We'll go to Cindy.
Thank you so much, Margaret. My name is Cindy Amaiza, and I work as the Her Voice Fund Manager at Y Plus Global. And my work is centered around supporting adolescent girls and young women with advocacy and influence the diseases that affect their health, rights, and well-being. And I'm joining you all the way from Kenya.
Thank you so very much. Just as you have heard, we are having a powerful, powerful panel today. We have amazing people doing amazing things in their fields. And let me not forget to introduce my favorite guy on the show. As TYP, we are inclusive and we ensure that each and every person has the access to our show and they're able to just participate in our show. And for today, we have our sign language interpreter, who is Abraham Mulenga. So he's the one who's helping us to fight with the air. I call them the guys who fight with the air. So he's the one helping us today. Abraham, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show. So just as we have heard the introductions that we have from our incredible guests that we have on the panel today, we are going to dive right into our discussion of the day. So we are going to start from it, like we're going to start from home, because we cannot go out there without knowing what is happening in our house. So we're starting from home. So Namyava, you mentioned that you are the project officer under the Winning with Women and Girls project. So I would like you to tell us what is the Winning with Women and Girls project and its overall goal, its objectives, and its objectives in empowering adolescent girls and young women. Namyava, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much, Margaret. So the Winning with Women and Girls project, this is a project that has been implemented by TYP for quite some time now, focusing on adolescent girls and young women. It is a project that focuses on strengthening access to quality sexual reproductive health services and rights, including HIV services for adolescent girls and young women. This is a project that ensures that adolescent girls and young women are empowered with leadership skills, advocate skills, and as well as being able to meaningfully engage and participate in key decision-making platforms. Indeed, when you empower adolescent girls and young women, they'll be able to speak for themselves. They'll be able to stand up for their communities. They'll be able to speak on issues affecting them, on their rights and issues affecting their communities. This project focuses on empowering these young girls and these young women with life and leadership skills to be able to stand up and stand in those key decision-making platforms, meaningfully participate. That is at community level, at national level, at district level, at provincial level, even at regional level. Of course, here we have with us Cindy, who is not only coming from the country, but she's with us. This is what Her Voice Fund does, and this is what our project Winning with Women and Girls does. It ensures that these adolescent girls and young women are empowered, they are mentored, they are brought together to be able to be mentored and be able to stand up for themselves, to be able to monitor quality health services that are being offered in the health service facilities, in the communities where they come from, in the health facilities where they go to access these services. Not only that, these adolescent girls and young women, this project focuses on ensuring that they have accurate and quality information by giving them correct information, by giving them accurate information on their sexual reproductive health services and rights, on information on where they can access these services, information on leadership and advocate skills that gives them the knowledge and the voice that they need to go out there to advocate for the services, advocate for their rights in their communities, in their facilities. That just empowers them. So overall, this project focuses on adolescent girls and young women to teach them, to empower them, to give them the leadership, the knowledge, and the skills that they need to be able to monitor, to be able to assess the services that are being offered in their health facilities, in their communities, to be able to sit and meaningfully participate in these key decision-making platforms, not only to be there passively, not only to be there as beneficiaries, but to be there to actually bring the change that they want to see in the communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Namiaba, for that. Indeed, you are a project officer, because from the way you are just speaking out those points, you can tell that this project is very interesting. And for the fact that you have a number of activities that you are doing, of which we are going to discuss more on that. And I feel like it's very interesting to see that this is a project that is just focusing on empowering young girls and young women with the leadership and advocacy skills. I mean, if we have a number of young girls and young women who are empowered with such advocacy and leadership skills, it would be a different space to be in, and it would be something very interesting. And anyways, I'm so excited about this campaign because it's not that I'm being biased, but hey, it deals with girls. And then, girls doing incredible things. This is just something that is very, very interesting. I was about to ask a question to Gwen, looking at the fact that, okay, my co-host is here. Network has been kicking him out, but I will move to Gwen. Thank you so much for coming back. So we have heard from Namiaba. Namiaba's mentioned what the Winning with Women and Girls campaign is all about. And of course, it's been supported by the Her Voice Fund. And you being the main supporters and being the reason why most of these projects that are being implemented under Her Voice Fund are being made possible out there. So I would like to hear from you, Cindy. Kindly tell us what the Her Voice Fund is all about. What is its goals and its objectives?
Thank you so much. Please confirm that you can hear me.
Sure, can hear you.
So I think Namiaba has already said everything, but just to give it a sort of overview, Her Voice Fund is a multi-country advocacy initiative that is led by us as Y Plus Global with support from Viv Healthcare and the Global Fund. And at its heart is just our willingness to ensure that adolescent girls and young women are not only being spoken of, they're not just being at the sidelines and being told, oh, these are the AJW who are facing ABCD issues, but they are the ones who are in those positions telling other people about their issues and shaping the decisions that affect their health rights and well-being. Our vision basically is to see that adolescent girls and young women influence these policies, programs, budgets, and health services in a way that responds to their actual lived realities. So we work with different organizations. I know you already know about TYP, but you also know about Gwen's organization, that is YHN. And we just work basically with all the different types of adolescent girls and young women-led and serving organizations, and we give them flexible grants, and they're able to create a space for adolescent girls and young women to engage in policy discussions, hold systems accountable, push for services that are responsive to their needs. And this is just to ensure that we as adolescent girls and young women benefit from these policies, laws, and programs that are reflective of what we are facing at home and in our daily lives. We don't want to be in a position where every day people are talking about the issues that are facing adolescent girls and young women, but we are not on the table. So as you see in the name, Her Voice Fund, we want to give voice to the adolescent girls and young women so that they shape their futures and health.
Thank you so very much for that insight, Cindy. Indeed, you are the people that are making it possible for us to run these organizations, these projects that are being run because of the support that we're getting from the Her Voice Fund, and of course, just its objective and its overall goal. You can tell that at the end of these projects that we're running, we should at least be able to see a number of young girls and women being showing some change, being in spaces where they can advocate, being in spaces where they can act as leaders, being in spaces where they can mentor others and just bring them to a space where they can feel safe to talk about certain things, and of course holds these healthcare providers and the government accountable for certain things that are not being done right. Thank you so much for that insight, Cindy. So I'm going to move to Gwen. Cindy, touch a little bit on your organization and what you are currently doing. So you are also an organization that is being supported by the Her Voice Fund. Please tell us what your project is all about and what you focus on.
Thank you, Margaret, for that question. So, with support from Her Voice Fund, we are dedicated to empowering our adolescent girls and young women in Central Province of Chiwambo District, specifically at Mwanjuni Health Clinic. So we are also looking into ensuring that our adolescent girls and young women have access to sexual reproductive health and rights. They have opportunities to leadership, and also they have platforms where they're able to voice out in terms of decision making. So our goal as YHN or as Youth of Network Zambia is to actually ensure that girls are not only the beneficiaries of the Her Voice Fund project, but they are also becoming leaders and change makers. Thank you.
Great. I like the fact that you have mentioned to say they are becoming leaders and change makers. I mean, this is why the Her Voice Fund is here. We want to see ladies, we want to see young girls and young women who are going to be leaders at the end of the day. Well, I can see we're remaining to hear from one voice. And before I say anything, I want to clock it because I mean, we're talking to the ambassador, Huh? We're talking to the ambassador. So, Natasha, let me bring you into the conversation. What does it mean to be the Her Voice ambassador, and how has this experience of just being an ambassador shaped you personally and professionally? Natasha, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much, Margaret. I hope you can hear me. Network has really been a challenge on my end. So being the Her Voice Fund ambassador for Zambia, for me personally, has just been an experience of growth as well as self-discovery. You know, an ambassador is pretty much a representative of either a country or an organization. So I am pretty much the linkage between the Her Voice Fund organization and the grantees that are implementing the Her Voice Fund in the different districts in Zambia. And this has really been an opportunity that has given me exposure to different platforms for growth and for advocacy as well. One thing I must mention is I started off as a peer educator, a youth hub facilitator, you know, working with different health facilities. But through Her Voice Fund, I have leveled up in my work and I have been exposed to different advocacy platforms, both at national level as well as at regional level. But one thing I must mention also about Her Voice Fund and how it has helped me personally and professionally is the fact that previously in my work as a peer educator and as an SRHR youth champion, I was mainly exposed to the lived realities of adolescent girls and young women in Lusaka. But through Her Voice Fund, I have been exposed to the different lived realities of the different adolescent girls and young women in different parts of Zambia. And what that actually does is that it helps me to actually advocate effectively and efficiently because I am getting the different lived realities. It's important that we realize that young people, or generally adolescent girls and young women, are not the same. They're not a homogeneous group. Of course, we may face the same challenges, but the context and the extent of the challenges that adolescent girls and young women differ depending on their different environments. So for me, Her Voice Fund has really been that platform that has exposed me to the different lived realities of adolescent girls and young women in Chibombo district, in Choma, in Kasama. So I'm able to even advocate efficiently with evidence, knowing that the different experiences of these adolescent girls and young women in different parts of Zambia. So generally, this experience as Her Voice Fund ambassador has just broadened my mind, and to be able to contextualize, even as I recommend different interventions, realizing that there's no one size fits all intervention to the different challenges of the adolescent girls and young women. So through Her Voice Fund, I'm able to actually communicate the lived realities of these different adolescent girls and young women based off of their different contexts and also the extent to which they're facing these different challenges. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Natasha. And it's very good to have you on the show. You know, we're talking about empowerment, leadership, advocacy. And looking at you, you're one person who just started as a peer educator, as a facilitator. And look where you are now. You are an ambassador, which is a very nice thing, which is a very encouraging thing, even to a person, a young girl or a young woman who's watching out there. This is something that we should be aiming for. When we look at the Her Voice Fund and the projects that are being implemented by different people, we're going to find that we have young people have such potential. So once you just believe, I feel like it's all about also believing in yourself and just being determined with what you want at the end of the day. You can definitely make it. Who knows? Maybe you might even be the next ambassador after Natasha. Natasha, thank you so much for that, and we appreciate the works that you are doing and just being there for young women and girls and just making a change in our community. There's something that I forgot to mention as we started the show, and it's something that has to do with my favorite people that are always watching this live, the online community. I don't forget you people, because you people are my favorite people, and you are the ones who make it possible for us to hold this real talk show. So please tell us where you're watching from, and please tell me why you think it's important to empower a girl child. Why is it important to empower a girl child? I have a comment here, but we're going to read comments a bit later, or maybe I can read it just now. This is Yoka is following the conversation. Indeed, Her Voice Fund being a game changer in enabling AGYW in Chibombo rural to actively participate in policy and in policy spaces such as technical working groups. Thank you so very much for that comment. You can keep your comments coming, and I will give you a shout out. You know, I give shout outs every time. But anyways, let's get back into our discussion. So I'm going to move right back to Namyaba. Namyaba was the first person to speak, and I'm going back to you, Namyaba. So you mentioned to say you are implementing the Winning with Women and Girls project at TYP. And your overall goal and objective is for you to empower young women, adolescent girls and young women with advocacy and leadership skills. So now I would like you to help us understand what activities exactly, like what activities are you implementing to ensure that you are empowering adolescent girls and young women with the leadership and advocacy skills? Namyaba, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much, Margaret, for that question. Indeed, when young girls are empowered, they are the voices that matter. And when you empower a young woman, you have empowered the community. Through support from Her Voice Fund, we have a lot of activities that we're implementing on this project. One of the major activities that we implement is life skills and leadership and mentorship sessions. These sessions are conducted with adolescent girls and young women where we come together as girls, we come together as young women to build them and teach them on various life skills that will shape them and help them make right decisions, help them to learn about advocacy. These are communication skills, negotiation skills, a lot of skills that help them. These mentorship sessions are centered at just focusing on these girls to help them to actually have the confidence, to actually have the self-esteem, to actually have the leadership skills, such that when they are given this platform, when they are given this chance to speak in these key decision-making platforms, be it at community level, be it at national level, they have the confidence, they have the self-esteem, they have the knowledge, they have the skill to speak up and make sure that their voice is heard and influence policy. The other thing that we do is conduct awareness sessions on sexual reproductive health services and rights. If the girl doesn't have the information, they are not going to know what to speak for. They need the right information, the accurate and correct information. We take this activity in the communities, in the schools, in higher learning institutions to ensure that we create awareness, to ensure that we give them the correct information on their sexual reproductive health services and rights. Such things like sexual gender-based violence, they are able to learn what it is, who to report for, and be able to stand up for their fellow girls in the communities. The other thing that we do is conducting facility-based interface meetings. Interface meetings, these are chances or opportunities where adolescent girls and young women sit at the health facility with the healthcare providers, with community leaders, with those leaders in that space, and they have a dialogue with those service providers. They have a direct chance to interact with those healthcare providers and be able to voice out their concerns, be able to bring out their issues that are happening around that area. When it is done at facility level, the young girls are in that space to be able to just sit down and interact with the healthcare providers, bring out their issues, interface one-on-one, come up with action points, come up with recommendations that will better and improve the quality of health services that they're accessing at that facility. That gives them a chance to directly bring out their voices to those key decision-making people in that space, in that community, and at that facility. The other thing that we do is actually participate and support these adolescent girls and young women to be able to be found in these key decision-making platforms. Let me give an example of the technical working groups that we have. Technical working groups are conducted at district, at provincial, even at national level. When these adolescent girls and young women are given such chances, they are given an opportunity to participate in these key decision-making platform. This project supports and ensures that these adolescent girls and young women not only end up being in the community only, but they are supported to participate in these key decision-making platforms, such as the RAHI. They are able to bring out their concerns, they are able to bring out their issues, they are able to ensure that what they are facing, what they are going through is actually being incorporated in the planning and as well as in the plans of the district, in the plans of the province, at national level, to ensure that what these recommendations that are being brought on the table are actually responding to the needs of these adolescent girls and the young women. The other things that we do is to ensure that these young women and girls, their voices are heard through community-led monitoring. This is a one-on-one conversation that we have with adolescent girls and young women in the facilities who access this service. We want to hear their feedback. We want to know what kind of services they are acquiring. We want to know the quality and how their experience is in accessing these services. They give us feedback and they give us their experience. This helps us to inform our planning, to inform each and every level of decision making, to advocate for what they need. When they go in these facilities to access health services, they have different experience. They have different things that they go through as they access these services. We want to hear from them. How was their experience? Did they really actually access the service they needed? Did they find what they went to get there for? How was the experience? How was the attitude of these healthcare providers? Are they able to access the services that they need as adolescent girls and young women? Through this information, we are able to get feedback from the adolescent girls and young women, not only to use that information and get it and end there, but that actually informs to help to plan, to help to advocate for the services that they need, for what they are lacking in their communities. We have a lot of activities that we do, and these activities are focusing at improving adolescent girls and young women, making sure that their voices are heard, that they're able to stand and influence policy, participate in health governance processes, ensuring that their voices are heard, their recommendations are brought on the table, and they are actually put into consideration by these key decision makers in the rooms. Thank you so much, Margaret.
At this point, I can just say, Namiawa, take over the show. But anyways, thank you so very much for your insights, Namiala. Indeed, I'm from the headquarters, and I have seen how excited these young women and young girls are when it comes to just meeting for these activities. And it's just so nice because they are encouraged, and they are benefiting at something at the end of it, at the end of the day. So if you are in Choma and you would like to be part of this group of young women and girls just meeting and discussing all these things that Namia has just mentioned, you can come through to our headquarters and just be part of this amazing group of young women. So thank you so much, Namia, for the highlights of the activities that you are currently running under the Winning with Women and Girls campaign project. Listen, I'm talking about the campaign. Yes, this is the campaign as well. So I'm going to move to Gwen. Gwen, you are a programs manager at the Youth's Hope Network. So I would like you to just also briefly tell us what kind of activities that you are currently focusing on as an organization.
Thank you, Margaret. So as Youth Hope Network Zambia, we are implementing a different range of activities. So we are looking into mentorship programs where we are mentoring other peers to give guides to younger girls. We are also looking into community dialogue where we engage with the community leaders in order to challenge harmful norms. We are also conducting workshops where we train adolescent girls in life skills programs, in advocacy, and aside that, we're also ensuring that we are creating a safe space for adolescent girls and young women where they are able to share their experiences without fear of being stigmatized or being discriminated. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that, Gwen. I like the fact that you have incorporated the aspect of the community. Sometimes something that hinders a number of us as young women and girls is the community and just the norms that the community have and what they expect us to agree on, what they expect us to do, and what they expect us to just consider to be right and wrong. And the fact that your organization is working with the community just to ensure that they're there to support adolescent girls and young women is a plus for me. So my next question was about to go to Cindy. But before we do that, we can read some comments from our online community. Maybe they might have some questions that they would like us to respond to. So I have a comment here, and it says, "Nice program, watching from Kabwe Central Province, Miss Gwen. Hi. I just hope as you build women, as you build women, you forget not leaving young men as well. Men are the front runners of every strong nation. Forgetting them is weakening a nation and a world as usual. Even though you are smartly mentioning them, they are still emotional. Okay, they're still emotional. You mentor a young man, you secure a community. As we young men would as we young men would with knowledge better stand out. Yeah. So thank you so much for this comment. We have another one. Her voice fund advanced meaningful action by empowering young people living and living with and affected by HIV to speak for themselves, influence policies, strengthen advocacy, and hold leaders accountable for improving HIV prevention, treatment, and support services in communities and the country at large. Thank you so very much, Katongo, for that comment. Um, we have another one. Abigail says her voice is a great project because voices of adolescent young women and girls are heard. Thank you so very much, Abigail, for that um, comment, and to everybody else. I've seen a number of you are saying I'm watching from Kawe, Choma, Lusaka. We have seen you and thank you so much for joining us. So I'm going to move to Madam Gwen. So I'm going to move to not Gwen, sorry. I'm going to move to Cindy. So Cindy, we had a comment that was saying about empowering a male child. In as much as we are focusing on empowering a girl child, we should also empower a boy child and just put them in the picture because they are the leaders, I should say, the leaders, the ones that are holding the nation together, if I'm not mistaken. So, Gwen, what do you have to say about that comment? Because it specifically mentions your name. Cindy, not Gwen. Oh my God. Cindy, please, you can go ahead.
No worries. And we do face these issues a lot of times. But the reason why we specifically chose to work with adolescent girls and young women is because in the countries that we work in, Harvest Fund works in 13 African countries. If we looked at the disparity in terms of HIV prevalence, we found that HIV prevalence is almost 3 times more among adolescent girls and young women than in adolescent boys and young men of the same age group. So there's still so many issues affecting adolescent girls and young, and that is what Harvest Fund has come in to step and fill that gap. It is to address those gender-related barriers that are still affecting adolescent girls and young women in terms of them being able to access HIV prevention and treatment, SRHR services, stigma and discrimination, gender-based violence, harmful norms, and even just the exclusion of girls and young women in these decision-making spaces. Just as the commenter has said, one of the things that really affects adolescent girls and young women is as simple statements like those that young women are emotional, young women are what, all those expectations that are put in place. Young women should be silent, young women should behave this way, young women should take whatever roles they're given, caregiving, everything. We are literally the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the community, us and our children. And once our children transition out, it becomes us as women who are aging and everything like that. We become the bottom of the barrel in terms of society. But what Her Voice Fund is putting in place currently is to ensure that adolescent young women have an equal platform as any other person. It is not to say that we want to have adolescent boys and young women behind us, below us, in the middle, where no, it is to ensure that we have an equal platform for all of us to engage. When young men are being supported by other programs to engage in the CCM processes, in the leadership processes, in the decision-making spaces, that we as Her Voice Fund are also looking out for the adolescent girl and young women and saying, hey, Natasha, please be on the same platform as this person. Give yourself an opportunity to also engage with this type of decision maker. Give yourself an opportunity to also be in the same type of level with any other decision maker in the space, so that you are meaningfully saying, I know that you are giving us services, maybe let's say for pregnancy, let's say. I know you're giving services like this, but would it be possible to also host other sessions outside the facility where I am comfortable and I can come and they're near my home area so that I can come and access my services? I will give you a very good example of a service that I have seen transform through the support of Her Voice Fund, but this is in Uganda. They decided that they're going to have a place where adolescent girls and young women could come before, like pregnant adolescent girls and young women could come before their due date and have at least a week within the health facility where they're being monitored, where they're being taken care of by a healthcare professional, so that when it is time to deliver, they are actually nearer to the facility. So those kind of things, you go and tailor make with that healthcare facility and say, no, even though you're offering these services, I live 30 kilometers from here. I do not have transport from my village area to come to this place in the middle of the night. The best option for me is to come in earlier so that I'm able to access services. It is just to equalize the platform for all people so that adolescent girls and young women can also engage meaningfully. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cindy, for that explanation. It has indeed highlighted a number of things, and I hope the comment has been addressed. And it's not that a male child is being left behind, but we are looking at the most vulnerable person here. Just as Cindy mentioned, we're looking at adolescent girls and young women being emotional beings. So even when we look at the HIV statistics, just as she mentioned, we are going to find that a number of a huge number of it is representing adolescent girls and young women, and so the focus. It's not that we have forgotten about the other gender. We haven't. We are still here with you. So I'm going to move on to Natasha. So Natasha, you being an ambassador, obviously you have been found in different spaces and platforms. So now, how has it helped you as an ambassador to just use the platform of being an ambassador in being able to just advocate for the rights and well-being of adolescent girls and young women in your space?
Thank you so much for that question, Margaret. So one thing that I have used, especially with my platform as Her Voice Fund ambassador, like I mentioned, that being found in different advocacy spaces, be at national level and at regional level as well. But one thing I must mention, that I have gone into these spaces with the realization that it is not every adolescent girl and young women that is going to be found in those spaces. Yes, some adolescent girls and young women, as Her Voice Fund, we are pushing for them to be found in most of these decision-making spaces, be at district level, at provincial level. But at national level, sometimes you find some of these spaces are a preserve of a certain criteria of young people. And I believe that me being Her Voice Fund ambassador has been really a privilege and an honor. And it's been something that has given me an opportunity to be in these spaces. And because I have been found in these spaces, I have gone in those rooms not to represent myself, not to represent my own needs or agenda, but with the realization that there's so many adolescent girls and young women out there with their different needs and their different challenges. And one thing that I have been able to do as well in these platforms is that I collect the different advocacy asks, the different suggestions and the different interventions that these different adolescent girls and young women have in the different parts of the country, in Kasama, in Chiwombo. So even as I get into some of these spaces, I am a member of the National Adolescent Health Technical Working Group. I am not there speaking for what does Natasha need, what does Natasha's challenge look like, but I'm there speaking for that young girl in Manjuni district, that young girl in Kasama. So when I get into these spaces, it is being a voice for the different adolescent girls and young women around Zambia that may not be able to sit in those spaces. And then also just being to speak from a place of knowing that we, of course, are facing these challenges, but also we as the young people also have the solutions to some of these challenges. And knowing that the people that we are speaking to in these different policy decision-making spaces have, the capacity to bring the change that we want to see. So even using my platform as her Voice Fund ambassador, I use it very strategically, being able to map and know which person is actually the decision maker, who is the influencer who can actually bring the change that we want to see. So when I get into that particular platform, I am very strategic, knowing that I need to get a message out there, and I know which person I should interact with, which person I should communicate with, for me to be able to pass on the message and pass on the different interventions, and knowing the key decision maker and influencer who can bring out the change. So pretty much using my platform as her Voice Fund ambassador has been one that has been very strategic, and also using evidence-based advocacy. It's very important that as young people we realize that in these spaces, it's important that we have the evidence, we have the numbers. If we are to change policy, if we are to change how things are done, it's important that we are presenting what the challenge is, what is the impact that this challenge is having on the community. And with that, we will be able to bring the change that we want to see. So it's really been about using evidence as I go into those spaces, and knowing the rules of engagement, knowing which people exactly that I need to interact with to be able to influence a policy or a change to move in a certain direction. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Just from how you've explained it, at the same time, it feels like it's really a space that is giving you just an opportunity to even just find out what these young women and girls are going through in their communities. You've highlighted a number of things like the technical groups that you're working with, and I can tell by the explanation that you've given that a number of young girls, a number of adolescents and young women, they are being impacted just by your presence there and the works that you are doing. Thank you so much. I'm going to move on to Gwen. So Gwen, you mentioned some of the key activities that you have been implementing in your organization and different communities that you are going to. So from your implementation of the activities that you're having in your community, what impact have you noticed so far amongst adolescent girls and young women? Gwen, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much for that question. I think from looking back from when we started implementing the Voice Fund project and to where we are now, there's been amazing impact on the lives of adolescent girls and young women, because we are able to see that the girls have gained their confidence and they are able to speak in community meetings. The same adolescent girls and young women, they have also acquired skills where they are able to start up their small businesses and are able to support themselves. We have also seen adolescent girls who were failing then to go to a health facility to access health services. They are able to do that now without fear. And most importantly, we have seen families and communities come together, get involved, and they are able now to recognize the value of empowering the adolescent girls and young women in their communities. So it has really been a big change and impactful. So her Voice Fund is not just implementing, their impactful results that we are able to see. And we have also seen girls who were not in school, they are mothers then, but now they have gone back to school. Others are pursuing higher education. So it's really a plus for her Voice Fund and for Youth Openet with Zambia as well. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Gwen. I like the fact that you have brought in the aspect of the community and the parents as being part of this move, just to ensure that a number of adolescent girls and young women there are empowered with the right skills. I'm going to move to Namiaba. We're running out of time, so we're about to start winding up. We're about to start winding up. So I'm going to move to Namiaba. Namiaba, under a minute, I would also like you to just tell us what impact you have noticed amongst adolescent girls and young women who are participating in the Winning with Women and Girls project. Under a minute, Namiaba, please.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Like Gwenny has highlighted, her voice fund has brought a lot of impact on these adolescent girls and young women. You can see these girls who were unable to actually speak out on sexual reproductive health services due to barriers in their cultures, in their norms, but now are able to speak up. Now they're able to voice out. They're able to interact with you. They're able to actually share their experiences. We have girls that have actually been able to access sexual reproductive health, such as family planning, contraceptives from the facility because they hear the awareness session messages and because they understood to say, this is my right, I can access this service, and I'm able to go to a facility to access the service. Other than that, our project has also had a lot of impact on adolescent girls and young women. We've had girls that are participating in different key decision-making platforms, some that have actually been elected as leaders. They have taken up leadership roles in those decision-making platforms at district level, at province level, even at national level. It has a great impact on our communities, on our adolescent girls and young women. I'm given a minute, but it has a lot of impact on the project. The project has a lot of impact on the adolescent girls and young women, and if we're able to go on, it has a lot of impact. Some of those stories that are being shared by the girls, some of them who fell pregnant, who were mothers, some of them who got married at an early age, are able now to come through because of what the project is doing in their lives. They're able to join sessions, mentorship sessions, to be able to voice out, share their experiences, to just guide their fellow girls, not to go through certain things that they went through. Of course, not to shame them, but just to build each other's confidence. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much for that, Namiaba. I like the fact that you have mentored a number of adolescent girls and young women who are now able to mentor others. This seems like a trend where we keep on connecting it. You mentor me, I mentor another person, and that person will be able to mentor another person. And in this case, we are building a very strong chain. We are building a number of adolescents who are going to make a change at the end of the day, an adolescent who's going to speak up at the end of the day, an adolescent who's going to lead at the end of the day. So before I ask my last questions to Cindy and Natasha, let us read some comments. I don't leave my community hanging like that. Let us read some comments before we wrap up the show. So I have a comment from Abigail. Abigail is back. To me, the Her Voice project is about giving young women and it's about giving young women the courage and the opportunity to use their voices to create change, educate others, and stand for their health rights and future. Thank you so much for that. Indeed, giving an opportunity to young women and just giving them this opportunity empowers them with the right to choose what's best for their future. So I have another one here, and it says, I wish a platform can be created where we may level up the injustice. I call it injustice because if you push a young girl in the corner of the pregnancy and HIV, both suffer. Both suffer from it. We are all vulnerable. I tell you why. Do you think suicide comes? Gangs, street kids, robbery is more in men as compared to women. Simple. We have almost no one to empower us. If you say HIV and HIV does its, if you say HIV does its gender, oh, if you say HIV does gender bias. So no obvious, we've no obvious, we are all emotional, and emotions known to gender, just level of it differs. And what, okay, thank you so much for that comment. We have another comment here, and it says, if focused on empowering adolescent girls and young women through peer support, SRH education, and mentorship programs, it creates a safe space for adolescent girls and young women talking about sensitive sexual and reproductive health and rights topics. They discuss STI, HIV prevention, debunking myths about family planning and contraception, preventing unsafe abortions by giving accurate information. They set up sessions in communities where girls can connect and share their experiences. Thank you so very much for that comment. Thank you so much. Today we have so much interaction from our online community, and we appreciate wherever you're watching us from and each and every comment that you are just sharing with us. So I'm going to move to Gwen, and then our ambassador will be the last person to speak. So Gwen, we have heard a number of impacts that we're getting from different um, projects that have been implemented under the Her Voice Fund, but I would like to hear from you, being the overall supporter. How has the Her Voice impacted the lives of adolescent girls and young women, and how have they benefited from the funding that you provide for them in these different countries? Of course, we haven't mentioned all the countries, but at least we have heard some of the countries that you have mentioned. So how has it impacted a young girl and a young woman in these different countries that have been implemented?
Just to ask, are you asking or Cindy?
Oh, it's Cindy. It's Cindy. Oh my God, it's Cindy.
So for Her Voice Fund, what we wanted to ensure we achieve by the end is that our sort of engagement and impact is not just at all the other levels and leaving out the personal level. One of the things that we really set out to do is to also achieve impact at personal level. And we are seeing girls and young women gaining the knowledge, the confidence, leadership skills to better and like getting better access to services. When you look at young women who, for example, Natasha spoke about starting off as someone in the as a peer educator and moving up the chain. So it's a process where you have to start showing interest, gaining those skills, gaining that confidence, start gaining the evidence, being able to push yourself in these decision-making spaces that you might never have been invited before. And so engaging there as an equal partner, that is one of them. And then when we started Her Voice Fund, if you look at the periods before 2019, you will see that at CCM level, at the so these are country coordinating mechanisms. If you look at the TWGs, what, I think in the African region, we only had three countries who had a youth representative within their CCM at that time. But right now, just under Her Voice Fund, we have around 8 adolescent girls and young women engaging in these CCM level processes, right? So you can already see that adolescent girls and young women are engaging meaningfully in these processes. And in this kind of levels of decision-making spaces, you don't go there to just say, to sit down and say, I attended a meeting, I was just there. You have to bring the voices of the adolescent girls and young women that you represent. But then we have also been able to see some systemic changes. For example, we have our very own Miranda Ziba from Zambia, who is also now a youth CCM representative. In Eswatini, we have contributed to the removal of import tax on sanitary products just this year. In Kenya, we have included some adolescent girls and young women to be part of the county health promoters team, who are the people who give like the first services to the community when they need it. In Uganda, we have seen that some adolescent girls and young women have made services that are more responsive. In one country, we saw that the facilities were all revamped to put in what is it called, a ramp, so that adolescent girls and young women with disabilities or using a wheelchair could actually push themselves to be able to gain access to the healthcare facilities. So these are just some of the few examples, but we have a lot and a lot and a lot. And the good thing is that we are soon launching our Her Voice Fund impact assessment report that will be documenting some of the results and the feedback that we have received because of Her Voice Fund implementation since 2022 to 2025. So that will be out soon. You can be on the lookout for it for a more inclusive response on the impact that we have been able to achieve here.
Thank you so very much for that, Cindy. Indeed, you are impacting lives and you are changing lives, and we appreciate the fact that you are there to support us as young women and girls. And by the time some of these projects will be closing, we would have a number of adolescent girls and young women who have been empowered, and they're just being able to advocate for their sexual reproductive health and rights. So we're running out of time. We have spoken for an hour. So I'm going to go to Natasha. You're going to briefly you're going to briefly encourage a young person, a young girl, a young woman out there who lacks confidence when it comes to just participate in these leadership trainings or the leadership spaces they get to find themselves in. You've been an ambassador, and of course you've been somebody who started as a peer educator, as a facilitator, and you find yourself being an ambassador, and you've been in spaces, some that you cannot even mention because these are spaces that maybe nobody even thought you would be found in there. But then we have a young person who doesn't have the confidence and just the courage to do that. What words do you have for them, Natasha?
Thank you so much, Margaret. So I'll try to be short with this. One of the things I would encourage or say to every young person is that confidence is as a result of preparation. Invest in getting information, learn as much as you can, know as much, teach yourself, be very deliberate about gaining the skills that you need for these spaces. When you get the skills, you get the knowledge, and you know how to conduct yourself in some of these spaces, you will have the confidence that you need. So just to make it short, preparation is what boosts confidence. When you get the knowledge that you need, you have all your information, your confidence will definitely rise up. So invest in learning as an adolescent girl and a young woman. Do invest in getting that information, building all your different skills in communication and in advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Natasha said it all. Invest in your education and believe in yourself. You know, she believed in herself, and look at where she's standing now. So if you believe in yourself and you invest in your education, you definitely get where you want to get. So I just want to say thank you so very much to our guests today. I know we have a lot of things that we'd like to talk about. They have voice, the project that we're implementing and whatnot, but then time is not with us. But we still appreciate the fact that you have helped us just understand what the Her Voice is all about and the projects that have been implemented under the Her Voice. And to our online community, you have been incredibly amazing, just as you every day. You come with so many questions, interactions in the comment section, and we appreciate your participation in this show. So and for, of course, to Abraham, who is not here, he helped us with the sign language interpretation. We appreciate you, Abraham, and thank you so much to our guests once again. You have made it possible for us to discuss and just know more about the Her Voice and the projects that are being implemented. So to our viewers, it's a bye-bye for now, and it's a bye-bye from our guests. And of course, you're going to see these faces again on this campaign, because the Her Voice campaign just began, and we're yet to discuss more and just learn more from the people that have been impacted by these projects that have been implemented. See you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.